Well, hey there, I am Jennifer.
And I'm Shannon Conaway.
And we also have another visitor, Penelope, with us today. But we are here because we are so excited to launch our new book club. This actually came about because Shannon and I were talking about our passion for wanting to help women with their financial journeys, helping them become homeowners. Because Shannon, what do you do and why is that important to our conversation?
So I'm a mortgage lender, and a huge part of financial literacy is kind of understanding the basics of credit and developing a portfolio for assets, investments, things of that nature, all of which I typically would use to qualify someone. So a lot of my conversations turn into, hey, here's what you need to do to get qualified. And a lot of those things are broken down. The basics are broken down here in this book, Clever Girl Finance.
Shannon had brought up the idea of this book club that you wanted to start here locally in our local market. And I was like, wait a minute, we should take this to home buying for women and just start this, because one of the things that I've been wanting to really get going is this idea of growth groups with home buying for women, because I think so much on this journey, it can feel kind of lonely, and you can feel like you're the only one that's having to say no to the coffees with friends and things like that, or, you know, not buying the latest fashion, and it's hard. But having a group that you can go to be like, hey, we're in this together, we're all, you know, going after this common good of financial literacy and building up assets so we can either buy a home or invest. There's a lot to it. The point of this video is to introduce our book club that we are launching. And so the way this will work is over the next few episodes that we're going to launch over the next few weeks is we're going to, first this episode will be kind of like an overview of what we hope to accomplish. And then we're going to each week that we released a new episode in December, we are going to talk about the different sections of this book, which by the way is Clever Girl Finance, and it's by Bola Sokunbi. The reason I chose this book was because I did some research to see who is writing something that speaks to us today, that's approachable, not full of jargon, and not set up to make it feel impossible, that like only a few people can attain. The way she's laid her book out with her 3 different sections, it just creates such an easy framework. And then when we go into our book club, that is going to be each month, we're gonna dive into one of these sections and get into the practical advice she has. And as I was reading through this, I was thinking about all these resources that we've got with home buying for women and tie those into those book club sessions so we can really, you know, talk with one another. Again, that growth group concept to show that we're all in this together. And we may all be at different points along the journey, but you've got a strong group of women here to support you through, you know, getting to that goal. So a couple of things. I mean, Shannon, as you read through this, what were some of the things that you were excited to talk about?
I would say, I mean, for sure, we could probably talk about some of the credit information, because I think that is, I also have a teaching background, and I think it's so silly that we haven't educated people from the time that they enter high school on their credit score. I mean, that's essentially the grading scale for adulting, if you will. A lot of those rules, it's like the easiest game to play. You could be so successful so early on if you just know the basics. And it's just not something that people talk about enough. I would say also the budgeting strategies and kind of different, based on your brain and the way it works, your best way to tackle debt, and kind of identifying what might make the most sense for you based on your personality and what's going to motivate you to eliminate debt. Also, the different types of ways that you can invest. I think some of the most intriguing information that I read as I was going through the book.
Yeah, so we met previously to kind of discuss our findings after reading the book. And what I thought was really interesting is that Shannon and I come from this kind of at different approaches. And I think it's fair to say we're at different stages in life. And so, you know, I was looking at it from my lens of being a single mom and going through that process of really trying to get out of a pretty big hole of debt that I was in, and the time it took, and feeling, you know, so alone in that time. And it was hard. There weren't a ton of resources at the time. I mean, there were some. I was fortunate to read some good books, but again, as far as a platform for people to really, you know, understand what to do, how to do it, and know that you're not alone alone. That really wasn't there. And then you're at a point where you have already bought your own home. You went through all those steps to get to the savings and all of that. It was just kind of interesting talking about our different journeys. And then even the idea of credit, though, because I'm a real estate agent and I've had my license for almost 19 years now. And there were even things that I brought up about credit, and Shannon was like, no, that's not actually how it is. So I'm actually excited to go into that myth busting that we do, because I think I'm not alone, that I might have some ideas that aren't correct about credit and things we should do and shouldn't do. And even we talked about jobs and switching jobs and how that could or may not affect credit.
Right.
So a little teaser to get you interested. So one of the reasons that I think this book applies to so many people along so many different points in the journey is this book is not just about how to buy a home. It's not how to get your financing in order to buy a home. It's so much more comprehensive than that. And with whichever point of the journey that you're on, there's something in here for you. And I will say, for the focus on the book club, a lot of the conversation will be around home ownership, though. And so we really want to tailor this to that woman out there who is looking for the encouragement, support, and resources to get on that path of home ownership. That doesn't mean that if that's not you, you can't be a part of the book club, though. So we would love to have you. So the way we'll structure this, we will meet once a month starting in January to go over each of those sections. The first section talked about transforming your money mindset. And there was so much good information here about getting your brain right. Before you even start, working on your budget or anything, where's your mental focus? There's a lot of barriers we have as women. When I bought my home, my grandmother helped me move, and I was 35 at the time I bought my home, and she was helping me unpack my kitchen. And she just had a little bit of a tear in her eye, because she made the comment to me when we were in this moment, and she said, when I was your age, this wouldn't have been possible for me. It wasn't until 1974 with the Equal Credit Opportunity Act that women could actually be on, get a loan. They couldn't get a credit card, couldn't do anything like that. If they did, they had to either have their husband or a male co-signer. We just haven't had the people in our lives to see this as an example as women. If we've seen successful people financially, a lot of times it's a man, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we haven't had those examples, and when we do see them, we kind of feel like they're outliers. Like, oh, they just got lucky, or that's special for them. That could never happen to me. And that's one of those things, like getting your mind right. It's just like, no, they started at the same place. If we can just get out of our own way sometimes and away from our own preconceived notions and concerns we have around money. So I'm actually excited about that, the conversations we're going to have about money and the thoughts we tell ourselves.
I completely identify with that, because I think that we had a conversation about my transition here to Dallas and jumping into lending, that was the year that I met the two women who ended up being visionary to me. They were the examples of women that I wanted to be. From my background, most of the people who I looked up to, they had to be men, because there wasn't a woman filling in that role talking about finances, or even in Christian leadership. Those were all kind of male dominated. Women can have a massive leg up when more women come to the table willing to talk about these things, willing to educate. It's generational. So, we've had beautiful examples from past generations of women examples, but we're a little bit delayed when it comes to talking about finances, budgeting, things of that nature, because those seem to be passed down from men to their sons. And now it's a great time that we have the opportunity to be able to have women sharing that to men and women.
For sure. And I think too, the topic of money, it's taboo. And so we're kind of conditioned that in polite company, you don't talk about money. The downside to that is we lose that opportunity to have really successful women share the secrets to their success. So that is what we hope this book accomplishes, is that like, hey, let's break down those barriers. Let's have these conversations. And so, yes, transforming the mindset was a big deal. And then the second section of her book is kind of the nuts and bolts. Like, we're going to talk about budgeting. And then section 3 was about her building wealth through investing. And this We are going to lean so heavy on you for that section. So I cannot wait because Shannon has so much good information to share. Even I, you know, where I am today, I wish I were further along in that investing journey. So I can't wait to hear all about that. This is just a quick overview of what we have to look forward to with our book club. If you want to join our book club, we would love to have you. Just go to homebuyingforwomen.com/book club, and I'll add a link to the comments and description in this video. And there you'll see a button that easily says, click here to join the club. It'll take you to a Zoom page where you can reserve your spot. And so we can't wait to have you there. And then also I've got a link there to buy the book. Now, I did notice when I talked to Shannon about this book, I bought this one. She bought the, you know, expanded and updated.
They're the same cost.
So whichever one you want works. The concepts and stuff are still there. There's some extra fun stuff in there. We would love to have you and can't wait to see you in the next video.